All our women, when they wake up early in the morning, do you know what they do? TikTok. I've even bought ring light, and every lady is learning how to twerk. Who has the greatest putters? You see, in the days when demons come, your putters cannot save us.
Let's read the discourse of Moses. Now therefore I pray thee, if I have found grace in thy sight, show me now thy way. That's an easy thing. That I may know thee. Okay. That I may find grace in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people. You are talking about if you find grace, show thy way. There is a kind of grace that God gives a man that makes a man know the way of God. But there is another kind of grace that God gives a man that makes a man see beyond the way of God to partake of the glory of God. Grace is not generic. No. Grace and peace be multiplied to you through the knowledge of God. So there is a knowledge you enter into, that another level of grace is multiplied. And that is why when you look at your life right now, how you were 5 years ago is not the way you are now. What happened was there was a multiplicity of grace, and by the time grace is multiplied, you have the privilege to be able to know God the more. I bring you a good and a bad news. Your faith is handicapped when grace is not made available. Grace is the only benchmark for elevation. I am what I am by the grace of God. That grace was not in vain, in that I labor. There is a grace supplied to labor. There is a grace supplied for glory. There is a grace supplied for beautification. How do men survive in this kingdom? By the supply of grace. That is a grace that comes upon a man to make him receive forgiveness from God. That is a grace that comes upon a man to make him access mercy. But there is another grace that comes upon a man that make him walk with God as though he is not a man. Because Noah found grace with God, and when God wanted to destroy, he came to Noah and gave him another economy. Abraham found grace with God, and he became a father of faith. So grace is not the license to sin. Another one believed that grace to him is the ability to live anyhow and God will help him. Another one believed that grace to him gives him the ability to be constrained and to be restrained. All of them saw grace in different measure. And Moses saw that grace to him was supplied to make him know God, number one. But far beyond knowing the ways of God. Mind you, the children of Israel had grace in the sight of God, and they had the provision of God, but they don't know God. So Moses had to advance beyond just having the provision of God. I want sugar, I want gari, I want indomie. God give. I want to know you. So grace to Moses was an advancement to the knowledge of God. Grace to Paul was an advancement to become like God. Because when grace came upon the life of Paul, it shifted his life to another dimension. Then it began to help him to be able to advance, to labor more in Christ, to be able to become like Christ. But when another kind of grace have to be supplied, we now realize that Moses began to see another kind of demarcation, that upon which what God has given me now, there is a limitation to the degree to which that grace was applied. So I know you can multiply grace via knowledge. Now you have given me grace to know your way. Can you give me grace to know beyond your way now? What do you think Moses want to know? I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. No one come to me, come to the Father except through me. Is that not enough? But Moses said no. Jesus Christ stood at Mount Gethsemane, and he also said the same thing. If I have found grace and I'm really begotten of you, can you glorify me with the same glory I have with you from the very beginning? What he was missing was the Shekinah. So he want that, he want via episkaizo, take me back to the place where there is a glory that was so visible. That's what I want.